Yo guys, what is going on? Welcome back to my channel, and I'm very excited for this video because today I'm going to explain to you how you guys can build a personal brand that's better than 99% of entrepreneurs out there. I'm going to be covering everything from how you can position yourself, the foundations of your personal brand, how to create content ideas, how to give value that'll position you as an authority and the only person to go to in your market, and how to build a content ecosystem so dialed that whoever you attract turns into a buyer. This is the exact framework I implemented to scale to $100,000 a month with only 11,000 followers. The same framework that Daniel Coulier implemented to scale from $25,000 to $50,000 in a single month with just 20 organic videos. And Matthew Trong, who runs an appointment setting coaching program that helped me scale from $0 to $30,000 in a single month with only 1,000 followers. All right, let's get straight into it. So the first thing that I want to focus on is profile optimization, specifically for Instagram, because it will help us with the YouTube in the future. And I'm going to explain how it can help us with the YouTube later down in this video. But Instagram profile optimization is super important because the moment that someone lands on your profile, they just get hit with a bunch of social proof, which gives them all of the reasons why to listen to you. Imagine someone goes into your Instagram and it takes them ages to find all your client wins, all your client results, who you've worked with, your connections, your network, the lifestyle that you're living. It just becomes infinitely harder for them to actually pay attention to you. But the moment they land on your Instagram, they get to see your pin posts, which are your case studies, your story, and some value that you're providing. Because one, showing the story makes you likable, shows who you are as a person, makes you relatable, and builds extreme resonance and gives them a reason to follow you. By posting your case studies, you build a good amount of credibility, you build an association to your clients, and you show the capability of getting someone from point A to point Z. And when you're sharing valuable solutions that's unique to the ICP, it shows competence and that you're actually capable of solving their problems. Imagine that these are the first 3 videos that your ICP watches on your account. 1, you're likable. 2, you're educating, and 3, you're building credibility, which is every single reason why someone should end up buying into you. And you do that with the first 3 videos that they see. Or after the pin post, you want to optimize your bio. I know that this isn't an important thing, but it's the first thing that someone reads when they enter your profile, right? And your bio needs to include who you help. It needs to have leverage in the results that you've achieved, and it needs to have a CTA to a YouTube video, right? But the CTA needs to be so good that it pushes them to click the link. It needs to link to a desired outcome that they want or an undesired state that you're solving. So for example, this is one of my students. He helps DM setters make 7 to 10K per month, right? That's who he helps, DM setters. Now he has leverage by mentioning he's helped over 50 plus DM setters double their incomes in 4 weeks, and then he has a link to a case study breakdown or a client interview, but it's how Zoha collected $260,000 in 57 days, which builds leverage and pushes people to click the link below. To scream even more authority is, I like to do this, but I like to make sure that my highlights are so fucking dialed. A lot of people like to include like a bunch of client wins, like client win, client win, client win, but I like to have my biggest case studies as individual highlights. Because realistically, if someone goes in your profile and they see a bunch of client wins, they're not really going to click through everything to see your client wins. What they're most interested in is if you have 2 highlights dedicated to client wins that are filled with them, and then you have your biggest case studies in separate highlights, that screams so much more authority because it shows, number 1, they see your biggest case studies, and number 2, they see an undeniable amount of proof, right? And it's right in front of them. They don't have to go do some digging to find more. And then the next thing is your posts. These are vanity, as a lot of people like to say, but you can do a great job of positioning yourself as an authority, and you can do a great job of increasing your perception by making sure that your posts are dialed. For example, posting yourself with your network, who you're connected to. If someone's clicks on my profile and they see that I'm connected to, let's say, Hormozi or Iman Ghazi, there's instant curiosity built around who I am. If they click on my profile and they see me posted up in front of a Porsche, they'll be like, holy shit, this guy makes so much money. How is he affording a Porsche? They click on my profile, they see me presenting in front of people, a picture of me presenting in front of people. You have to be super intentional with the pictures that you post because it increases your perception of value and who you are as a person. It's someone's first initial impression of you, so why wouldn't you want to take it seriously? That is how you optimize your Instagram profile. So once we've done that, our strategy changes to building authority and getting reach. Because realistically, how else are we supposed to get people onto our profile to see all of this if we don't build curiosity, with our authority and we don't post content for reach. This is how we build authority and reach. I like to use this framework called point of interest backed by a certain belief. And this is a gold mine of ideas, and that allows you to attract a bunch of views whilst being super intentional with who you're speaking to. And let me explain. So for example, Jeremy Haynes. Jeremy Haynes has posted a video talking about his supercars. He has his supercars outside. I remember watching this as well. Like, the way I know how this works is because I resonated with this. I looked at the comments of that video and I saw high-level entrepreneurs comment on that video. Although there's no business value there, it's just extremely relatable. He understood his dream follower and who he was trying to attract. He understood that his dream follower were all business owners, we're all making a shit ton of money, who all want supercars, who all want these luxury items. And he made a video saying, hey, these are my cars, I spent millions on them. But if you're a $100,000 a month business owner and you're scared of buying luxury items, then what the fuck are you doing? You are not acting in alignment with that identity of you making 6 figures a month. So if you're making $100,000, don't be afraid to spend money, etc. For myself, okay, I want to attract a different type of business owner with different types of beliefs. So when I hit my $100,000 a month, I use it as a point of leverage. I said, hey, I just made $100,000 with my business, but instead of buying a luxury timepiece, I gave money to my family, because I believe impacting those around me with the money that I'm making is much more important than validating myself with luxury items. And then Sue, for example, he uses giving gifts to his parents. If you're making fuck you money, don't spend it on luxury items, spend it on your family, because that's what matters most. That is what I would say a point of interest backed by a belief. So just to summarize, point of interest is something that is considered attractive to the dream follower or dream viewer that you're trying to pull towards your personal brand. And the belief is something that extremely resonates with who you're speaking to, so it's super specific, and you can niche down with the belief as well. Because the truth is, you want a certain group of people to agree with your belief and a certain group of people to completely not agree with your belief. And that's how you build a personal brand and create authentic content with intention of attracting ICP leads and qualified leads. But how do we actually know what is considered attractive, or what beliefs do our audience resonate with most? And there's 2 ways we can go about it, right? We can either, if you have existing clients or if you're signing clients, in your onboarding forms, include these questions. What part of my personal brand did you resonate with the most? What other than the value I provided made you want to work with me? Well, what pieces of content pushed you into buying? What made you choose me over every single person providing the exact same solution as me? And that gives you so many angles of marketing that you can use in your content. And then the next thing is, if you don't have any clients, or you don't have any onboarding forms, or you don't have any data like that, choose 5 personal brands that you resonate with the most and extract 5 elements of each that you have. For example, let's say you have a nice car and you're selling to a B2C audience. Look at Brez's personal brand and be like, oh yeah, like let me use like my car the same way Brez uses his car. It's as simple as picking apart things from other personal brands that you resonate with the most. And if you have those, you can leverage them in your content as well. So that is how you come up with data-backed content ideas that, 1, appeals to the higher level dream follower, and 2, that is optimized for reach as well. After you've built the foundation of your brand and attracted the dream follower who are highly qualified, the next thing you want to do is make content around the vehicle, which is the solution that you have to all their problems. And what this essentially looks like is applying the SLA method, which is a steal like an artist method. And it's as simple as finding outlier video ideas from accounts that are smaller or larger in the same industry as you that are solving unique ICP problems. And how you know what unique ICP problems are is done through the research in the sales process by collecting data from your post-call and pre-call notes. That way you actually have a proven concept of how to format the idea and how to execute it. But most of the times when you do this, your value sounds like everybody else, so how can you differentiate yourself? And this is what I like to call value optimization, and it's based on 4 pillars of middle funnel content. And it starts off with increasing the perception of value that we're providing. And how we increase the perception of value is we call out a unique undesired state that our audience is suffering from, because our ICP won't actually care about the value that we're providing if we don't make them aware of the problem that they're suffering from in the first place. Or it's talking about a desired state. If you have achieved a desired state through this unique mechanism that you are using to operate your business or to get X result, you want to leverage that in every single piece of content that you're making, or every single piece of middle funnel piece of content that you're making. This is exactly what I did right at the very beginning of this video. I leveraged my own personal result, I leveraged my case studies, And that's what got you guys to listening and watching this far. You want to make sure that what you're talking about is extremely relevant to the viewer. That's why it's so important to constantly collect data on your ICP, because you cannot be just seen as a generalist. You want to be seen as a specialist where you're solving their problems in real time. And then the second thing is hijacking someone's authority. This is using someone else in your industry who's a leader, where you can apply your knowledge into what they've been doing to see X result. If you do any of these in your content, which is exactly what I did when I spoke about point of interest, it increases the perception of value that I'm giving, because it's like, oh shit, this guy's an industry leader. Oh, this guy's talking about a problem that I'm suffering with. I'm so inclined to listen now because he's calling me out specifically. And that's how you increase the perception of value that you're about to give over everyone else providing the exact same value as you, right? The next thing is your value has to be so clear that they don't have to exit your video and find different videos to watch in order to get their solution. So you need to make sure that you have a clear step-by-step process that they can implement 24 hours after watching your video and get the result or feel some form of progress. Then the next thing, your value has to be unique. So one, you have to position it as more effective. You have to position it as easier to understand, which is done in the clear solution phase. And two, it needs to be better explained. And you can do this by looking at your competitors' videos and seeing what comments, what frequently asked questions there are in the comments, and then just explain it or add it to your video or add it to your value. And that's how you create valuable content. And how you position it as more effective is you just use way more better results or link it back to an authoritative figure. And then it has to be viewer depictable. Can they see themselves doing it after the first 24 hours of watching it? Will they believe it works? And is it worth the time and effort they'll put into it? And that is how you make better value content compared to every single competitor in your niche. Now that we have our Instagram profile dialed in for our personal brand, the next thing is YouTube. If you're trying to make more money with your coaching business, I want you to detach from the views that you're getting on your YouTube videos, especially from your value videos, because the way I see YouTube is a public library of sales assets. So if generally think about it, if you go on YouTube, you're not going to be like, your first instinct is not to search up, oh yeah, how to dial in my sales funnel for my coaching business. No, it's not going to be that. No, right? The main way that you're going to get eyeballs to your value-based YouTube videos is through your DMs, your story sequences, your Instagram, your CTAs and your Instagram reels and stuff like that. That is the main way that you're going to get traffic to your YouTube videos, or you're actually solving a problem that's frequently being searched up, and this is done through the data that you collect from your sales process, for your post-call and pre-call notes. That's how I see value-based content on YouTube. 100 views on a value video where you're solving a specific problem is 100 intentional viewers who aren't just watching for the sake of watching for entertainment. No, they're watching to have their problem solved. The solution you're providing is generally good enough, they're going to book in a call and end up buying from you, especially if they get the results from it. 100 people, imagine 100 people buy into you and your ticket is 8K, right? You're making a shit ton of money. That's why I want you to detach from the views, because 100 views on YouTube is equivalent to 10,000 views on Instagram, especially on value videos. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you don't have to stop creating like personal content, vlogs and stuff like that on YouTube, because at the end of the day, people buy for different reasons. People buy for you, people buy for the value you provide, people buy for your lifestyle, the impact that you're having on others. So generally, it's nothing wrong to document that. And plus, I generally think, like, other than creating sales assets, you should be documenting your legacy. And the reason why is because every piece of content that you film becomes a sales asset. Now, this doesn't mean YouTube is just for value. You can also document your life, because you have to remind yourself, people don't just buy from the value. People buy for who you are as a person, right? You can post vlogs, you can post raw talking heads, to get people to like you, right? It's not just about the value. Don't focus on the views. Of course, packaging is important. You want to make sure that you're using proven titles, proven thumbnails for your videos to get the most amount of reach. But how I see YouTube is just like this. And I've been able to scale my personal brand to $100,000 a month by purely going into YouTube with this mindset. And realistically, if one platform blows up, the next platform will as well. It's what I like to call a snowball effect, right? That's why I genuinely think it's super important to focus on both platforms, because if one blows up, the next will. So it's important that you understand that people buy from you, your value, and what you believe in. So how you make sure that if one platform blows up and the next one does as well, is you genuinely have to build a content ecosystem. And the goal is to build as many bridges from the Instagram to the YouTube as possible. For example, if my Instagram suddenly blows up and I get 1 million views, the last thing you want, and I'm going to draw it out, the last thing you want is for someone to come from an Instagram reel that has gone viral, go into your Instagram, and just have a dead end here. The goal of the content ecosystem is to make sure that the moment that someone goes into your ecosystem, they have the next steps right in front of them, and it's just less friction. So for example, on my account, the moment you land on my account from a reel, you have the link in my bio. The next thing, if you don't click the link in my bio, you have the link in my case study highlights, which instantly directs them to the YouTube client interview. Then the next thing is my story sequences. If you decide to follow me, right, I post a story sequence pushing to YouTube, boom, you're sent to my YouTube. And then if you follow me, we also send you a touch point message and then send YouTube videos through the DMs and then on my Instagram reel. So the moment you land on my profile, there's already multiple different touch points. You already spent a good amount of time with me compared to just landing on my profile and have it being a dead end. Because if you genuinely build good curiosity through your content, people are going to start digging into your profile, and you want to make that as seamless as possible. That's why I have as many bridges from my Instagram to my YouTube as possible. So off initial reaction, they would have consumed 30 to 40 minutes of content from my personal brand. So once you have the content ecosystem dialed in, once you have your profile optimized, and once you're starting to post on YouTube, the next thing that you want to do is you want to choose the right strategy that's going to push your brand forward. And it's as simple as reverse engineering the current information that you have in front of you and figuring out the right solution. For example, there are three main problems why a personal brand is not monetizing. You have high views but low qualified leads, which means you need to dial in your associations, which means you need to use your points of interest for your top of funnel content and speak about beliefs that resonate with the dream follower that's highly qualified. The next thing is you have high views, good lead flow, but zero conversions. One, it might be an appointment setting issue, sales issue, or whatever, or it could be you're not marketing the desired outcome enough, or you're not providing enough value. And then the next thing is low views and no leads, which means it's a full top of funnel issue where you need to actually post more content, distribute more, attract the right people. If you have all of these issues solved and your content is ripping and you're attracting a bunch of people and you're posting the client results, you're providing a good amount of value and it's unique and you're still not closing deals, then it is a sales and setting issue. If you have the right strategy, if you have the right profile optimization, if you're posting YouTube videos, you're getting views, and you're still not seeing results from the content, I want you to understand this philosophy, the surface area of luck. And I'll show you in 2025, I posted 119 times. Out of the 119 times, 13 posts were successful. So which means I had a 10% success rate, around a 10% success rate. And a lot of people would have given up after the first few videos. So every single red piece is identified as a successful video. Every single piece that's white is a video that has been unsuccessful. So many people would have given up around the first two columns and say, oh, content is bullshit, da da da. But I want you guys to understand, the content doesn't get you the ROI. It's a personal brand that is built from the content that gets you the ROI. Because even then, I had 13 videos go viral. I posted 119 times, but this has allowed me to build a personal brand that generates $50,000 to $60,000 a month consistently and allowed my business to hit $100,000 a month in January. But why am I telling you this? Because a lot of people want to get lucky, but they avoid getting wet. And this is an example of it. I see luck as raindrops. If it is raining and you are not doing the inputs to get wet, then how can you get lucky? And this is what I mean. A lot of people will give up. They don't do the inputs. Therefore, they don't put themselves in an opportunity to get wet, which means they don't put themselves into an opportunity to get lucky. But if you do more inputs like posting every day, optimizing your profile, getting better at content every single time that you post, you increase your surface area, which gives you way more chances of raindrops hitting you and which gives you way more chances of you getting lucky and getting a post that blows up and scaling your business. That is how you build a personal brand better than 99% of entrepreneurs out there. I appreciate you guys for watching. If you guys have any questions, DM me on Instagram. My Instagram is in the description below. If you want to learn more about personal branding and how you can build a personal brand that becomes a long-term asset that allows you to make money in any industry that you transition into and to position yourself as an industry leader in your current industry, there's a link in the description below. I appreciate you guys. Take care. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.